It was supposed to be a controlled panel discussion on judicial integrity, a rare televised event where lawmakers, activists, and even Supreme Court justices were invited to weigh in on the public's eroding trust in America's legal system. Jasmine Crockett, already a firebrand in Congress, had been invited as one of the younger voices demanding reform. But when she took the mic and began calmly exposing how judicial precedent often masked systemic bias, Chief Justice John Roberts' demeanor shifted. What followed stunned the room and the nation. Jasmine had just finished citing data on racial disparities in sentencing, quoting sources from the Sentencing Project, and even DOJ internal reports. She asked Roberts directly, "How does the court justify neutrality when its outcomes overwhelmingly reflect bias?" There was a pause. Leaned forward, face tight. "It's an outrageous implication," he snapped. But Jasmine remained poised. "It's not an implication, Your Honor. It's a pattern." Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut with precision. Then came the moment no one expected. Judge Roberts raised his voice not slightly, but sharply. "This is not a courtroom, Congresswoman. You will not lecture the Chief Justice of the United States on national television with cherry-picked data." The volume of his voice caused the moderator to recoil slightly. The audience, live and at home, froze. Everyone could see it. The highest judicial authority in the country had just lost his composure, and Jasmine, she didn't flinch. Her response was not defensive, not dramatic, but surgical. She adjusted her mic slightly, leaned in, and said, "If your authority depends on me being silent, then maybe it was never authority to begin with." The silence in the studio was deafening. Look on Roberts' face transitioned from fury to disbelief. It wasn't just a comeback, it was an indictment. A line delivered not to shout over him, but to expose him. That single sentence would soon become the most shared clip of the night. The moderator, clearly shaken, tried to steer the conversation away. But the tone had already been set. Roberts was red-faced, still visibly seething. "This kind of grandstanding is exactly what undermines public faith in our institutions," he said. Crockett nodded slowly.
You're right.
"People do lose faith, especially when institutions show more outrage at being questioned than at being unjust." Again, her words landed like truth wrapped in ice. Within an hour of the live taping, social media exploded. Hashtags like Jasmine Crockett and Roberts' meltdown began trending across platforms. A clip of Roberts screaming, followed by Jasmine's cold-blooded response, was everywhere. Influencers, legal scholars, celebrities, and everyday citizens posted reactions ranging from disbelief to celebration. She didn't raise her voice once. One tweet read, "But she shattered him louder than any scream could." By morning, news outlets were running headlines like "Roberts snaps, Crockett stands tall in Supreme Showdown when composure beat rank." CNN ran a special breakdown of the clip, with body language experts analyzing Roberts' clenched jaw and Crockett's calm posture. MSNBC brought on civil rights attorneys who praised Crockett's restraint under pressure. Even Fox News couldn't spin it. They simply replayed the clip, letting viewers draw their own conclusions. Roberts issued a formal statement the following day, attempting damage control. "In the heat of live debate, I became frustrated. I apologize for the tone of my response." But it rang hollow to many. His apology didn't address the core issue Crockett raised. It only mentioned his tone. Crockett, meanwhile, tweeted a screenshot of his quote with the caption, It was never about tone. It was always about truth." The post gained over 1 million likes in a few hours. Commentary poured in from unexpected corners. Law professors from Yale and Georgetown issued joint statements supporting Crockett's concerns about systemic judicial bias. Several legal watchdogs began petitions demanding greater scrutiny of the court's internal ethics procedures. "Jasmine opened a door most people pretend isn't even there," said one op-ed. And Roberts' outburst proved why it's been shut for so long. Talk shows, podcasts, and news panels devoted entire segments to the exchange. Trevor Noah called it one of the most elegant dismantlings of unchecked power I've seen. On live TV, legal TikTok creators dubbed it the gavel heard round the world. Beyond the humor and sound bites, though, there was an unmistakable shift in tone. Crockett had proven that calm courage could challenge even the most sacred positions in the land. Inside Capitol Hill, colleagues across the aisle whispered about the incident. Some Republicans quietly criticized Roberts' loss of composure, while Democrats embraced Crockett as a rising star in the reform movement. A few moderate senators even proposed that the Supreme Court voluntarily appear before Congress once per term to answer public concerns. For the first time in decades, real accountability was on the table. Roberts, usually insulated from public criticism by the formality of his position, now faced growing calls to reevaluate the court's distance. From Democratic oversight, activist groups demanded televised confirmations for all future justices. Some even called for age limits or rotating appointments. If they can't handle questions without screaming, one viral video said they shouldn't be writing history. Meanwhile, Crockett returned to work as usual. When asked by reporters how she remained so calm during Roberts' outburst, she replied, "Because I knew it wasn't about me. It was about the truth I was holding up, and sometimes truth makes people tremble, even if they wear robes." That quote would later be printed on T-shirts, posters, and even protest banners across the country. Young women, especially women of color, posted videos thanking Crockett for showing them what power with grace looked like, which didn't match his energy. One said, "She transcended it." Law students began requesting her to speak at graduations. She declined many of them quietly. Her focus was still on policy. But the influence she had ignited couldn't be turned off. Weeks later, during another televised hearing, Roberts appeared visibly more restrained, his answers more measured. When asked about recent tone challenges, he simply said, "I've learned the importance of listening more and reacting less." It was the closest thing to an admission that Crockett's poise had forced a recalibration not just of optics, but of character. Crockett, meanwhile, introduced a bill calling for increased transparency in judicial lobbying disclosures. "The people need to know who's whispering in the ears of those interpreting the Constitution," she said. The bill gained bipartisan support, surprising many. But the momentum was clear. Her viral moment wasn't just viral. It was legislative, cultural. Historians began documenting the exchange as a pivotal flashpoint in the public's evolving relationship with judicial power. A documentary titled "When She Didn't Flinch" entered production, focusing on women in politics who challenged authority without sacrificing dignity. Crockett was the centerpiece. Not because she planned it, but because she lived it. Months later, Roberts and Crockett appeared separately at a legal symposium. Though seated on different panels, the event program paired quotes from each. Under Roberts' name, "Justice must be beyond personal reaction." Under Crockett's, "Sometimes justice isn't loud, it's just clear." The audience chuckled at the contrast, but everyone understood the history behind it. No disciplinary action was ever taken against Roberts. But his legacy now included a public moment of raw humanity and defeat. Crockett, on the other hand, grew stronger in stature, proving that firmness doesn't require fury, and that the cold truth often lands where shouting never will. She reminded the nation that control isn't about silence, it's about standing tall when screamed at. So, yes, Judge John Roberts screamed on live TV, but Jasmine Crockett didn't scream back. She didn't flinch. She didn't fold. She answered with a kind of calm clarity that echoes far longer than a raised voice. In that moment, she didn't just go viral, she went legendary. And in doing so, she changed the power dynamic forever.